Hi and welcome to In Her Shoes. I'm Suzi Dafnis. My guest today is Claire Braund. Claire is co-founder of Women on Boards, the leading advocate for improving gender diversity on Australian boards and giving women access to board positions across business, government, community and the not-for-profit sectors. Claire, welcome.
Thanks, Suzi.
Thank you for joining us. Tell us what Women on Boards does.
Well, you described it very well. But some of the things, we are a unique company, and some of the things that we do is we provide very clear strategies and pathways for women seeking directorships, and we provide a lot of support and encouragement for women. We provide inspiration. We provide very, I suppose, rubber hits the road strategies and opportunities for them to achieve some of their aspirations, but also for them to realise that they might have aspirations also, or that their particular skill set would be useful for a board.
What is the biggest challenge that women who do decide they want a board position come up against?
Okay, getting on the radar. Women find it really tough to get on the radar of the people with the power to make the decisions to put them on boards. That includes chairs, high-level search consultants and other directors. Overcoming the stereotype that it's a certain type of professional person that goes on boards, particularly ASX boards, and it's often that it's got to be a former CEO or a partner in a male partner in a law firm. But the reality is that boards are opening up to the concept that somebody with a very strong background in HR is a particularly useful person when you've got issues around workforce participation and IR, all of those kind of things. So there's a challenge there that you don't have had to come up through a very narrow pathway through the business world to get on a board. The other thing that I think women need to start doing is holding the nerve and pitching themselves better. Women underpitch notoriously. We've got a fantastic network of 8,000 women, and to a woman almost, they undersell and underpitch, and they still think that they need to meet all of the criteria plus some in order to apply for those board roles. And it's being able to look at your transferable skill set, i.e. you've been in a particular job, but you need to be able to think, okay, how does that work? What does that industry look like? How could I translate those skills across to a board position? And then how do I market and sell that to a chair? And that's quite hard.
Well, one of the things I know you do, because I've been a participant, is that you provide education and you train women on what is it that you need to know to be on a board.
Yeah. We prefer to say women are highly educated, they've got multiple degrees, they've got vast experience, but it's the sort of common sense, it's the crossing the road sort of stuff. It's the things that nobody tells you. It's where people meet, it's how they meet, it's how the business is sort of done, it's what they're particularly looking for. Directorship is about adding value, it's about having wisdom, it's about having judgment. Demonstrating that you can exercise those is a really useful thing. And yet for a whole lot of people it's like, well, I'll go and get a further degree, or I will demonstrate my competence even further. No, you're highly competent, you've already demonstrated that. What you need to demonstrate is that you can step up to that next level. And I suppose it's those it's that sort of really common sense, the sort of stuff that you hear from your best friend who might say, well, this is what you really need to do. That's what Ruth and I tell you.
And Ruth is, of course, your business partner.
Ruth Med is a professional non-executive director, and she is my co-founder and a business partner.
So say I don't have a degree, and perhaps what I have under my belt is that I started and grew a small business. Mm-hmm. Can I be on a board?
There's no reason why you can't be on a board, because you've got several things there. The fact that you have Get Up and Go, you've obviously got Nous, you obviously understand how small business works, you know how to make money. Most boards really want people who know how to make dollars. So, but the boards that you might sort of think about are things like government business boards. Some of the government boards are really particularly large, and some of the larger non-profit boards. And we have to be careful when we use that term. Credit unions are non-profit. All of the major hospital boards, many superannuation bodies. You can be the industry rep on your large superannuation body. A lot of health boards, the education sector, universities, they're all non-profit boards. So you really need to think broadly and think beyond the local sort of dog and cat charity when you think about that particular term.
That's really powerful because it's not an immediate connection that one would make.
Yeah.
So how does Australia compare to other countries when it comes to women on boards?
Australia is lagging in two ways. It lags in the debate, but it also lags in the hard, cold numbers. Now, there's been a big thing made recently that the ASX 200 boards, we've actually moved to 9.2%. We've broken the 9% barrier finally. And that's because this year, with the impending threat of the ASX corporate governance guidelines hanging over the ASX companies, which will require companies to report against gender. So, i.e. the number of women they have at senior exec and senior management and on boards will have to be in a nice little table in your annual report, just like all of the other financials. It's a big thing. Yes. It's a really big move, and it's fantastic. And what's happened is that there's been a real female grab. To date, so far this year, there's been about 23 women taken for ASX board roles in the ASX 200. There was 11 in the whole of 2009. And what that says to me is that, yes, we can find them. Yes, we can find them if we're forced to actually look. And it also talks about what the, I suppose, a little bit of threat of regulation has. And what that means is overseas, countries like Norway, France is looking at it, Spain has also done it. They have a highly regulated system where the government has actually stepped in. Okay, here we've gone, oh my gosh, we hate government regulation. We are the original gold-digging pioneers.
Right, we don't want them to step in.
We don't want government regulation here. But a bit of industry regulation, which the ASX is doing, and it's been driven, I have to say, by some very senior chairs there, is a very good thing because it's making companies wake up to the fact that they have to get some females. But in terms of numbers, we're worse than South Africa.
I don't know what that means, but it doesn't sound good.
No, it's not good. South Africa's not renowned as a bastion of female rights or any kind of rights, really. And so it's important that we need to view it in context. But we are getting better, and I think there are big opportunities. A number of women in our network who've worked overseas, and we have a whole lot, who can come back here and say, oh my gosh, Australia's so conservative. Like, we've really noticed that we've got to tone it back, tone it down. Compared to the US, compared even to England, compared to Europe, we've really got to tone it back because Australia's so much more conservative.
Now, we've just recently had a female appointed as our Prime Minister.
Yes.
What impact, if any, do you think it'll have on the issue of women on boards?
The wonderful thing about Julia Gillard being appointed Prime Minister is that she is going to be an outstanding role model for all young Australian women. I don't know if anyone saw the interview with the Unley High School students the evening that she was made Prime Minister. They were standing there going, we are so proud. We cannot believe that she went to our high school. This means that we can do it too. Right. And it was fascinating. And Baroness Amos, who's the British High Commissioner, spoke at a function recently in Canberra with the Governor-General and Penny Wong, and they were all talking about the value and importance of role models in their lives, and that is critical. And anyone who says, oh yes, but you know, it's just a one person there, the reality is that if you see people in those jobs, she's the first woman out of 27 Prime Ministers. We finally have a female who's under 50, she's not married, and she doesn't have children. I mean, that's a fairly big thing for this. That's a big thing for this country. What we need to make sure that we do is that we don't fall into that terrible trap again of judging her in a different way as Prime Minister that we may judge males. People are already saying things like, I hate her voice, and I'm like, well, Bob Hawke didn't have the best voice in the country either. Or things like, you know, somebody was already talking the other day about what she was wearing. You know, I hope really that we've gone past that and we look at the fact that she's a highly intelligent, highly motivated, highly driven person who I hope is a fantastic Prime Minister. We are big advocates of mentors, role models, and I totally agree with you is that once it exists in the world and in our world, then it's possible for anyone. Yes. And I think at the very least, what we have is a new paradigm that a woman under 50 with no children and, you know, a wonderful career can take that role, and we're yet to see how she's going to do with it, but it opens up the doors. It does open doors, and it's very valuable. There was some really interesting, there was some older women saying, well, what about the First Lady? Everyone was thrown into this kind of conundrum. There is no Prime Minister's wife anymore. There is no Prime Minister's wife. There's a whole new set of job descriptions for the first man.
Yes, or bloke.
Or bloke.
Yeah,
the
as
first
it was
bloke.
in the paper today.
Yeah, so it's really challenging cultural stereotypes, it's challenging perceptions, it's opening up that particular paradigm. I mean, it's a really fantastic thing for us to have done. And then Sharon Burrows, the following day, made the global head of the trade union, and we have a female Governor-General. So there's fantastic female role models all over the place
all over
now.
Australia. Tell us how women can get involved with the work you do.
Well, it's pretty easy to be involved with women on boards. We run a website, which you have on your website, and you can register. It's quite free. Okay, but first of all, you probably need to think about: am I interested in boards? And if yes, then definitely come to us. But the second thing that you really need to think about is, okay, what opportunity do I have, and should I be contributing? I'm a great advocate for, if you've had an education, you've got a professional career, then I actually really think it's beholden upon us to give back. And that's just not giving back to the non-profit sector, that's giving back to all sectors, you know. You've had those benefits, and so rather than sitting back and saying, well, I'm going very well, you know, in my particular career, you know, how can you use those to help society, to help companies, to help other people in general? So I think getting involved in board work is particularly good. I think it's very advantageous for females, because it can quite often be something that fits in if you have to step out for various reasons. So, you know, it's really something that people should be thinking about, and start thinking about it younger. Because if you want to be on an ASX board, the reality is you need to be planning about it in your mid-20s and really looking to how you position yourself, what sort of jobs you take. It's a strategy, and it's a career strategy. So start thinking about it early, and by all means, go past our particular website, have a look at what we've got there, and become involved and engaged, and drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you.
Congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.